It feels like every year the Green Bay Packers have at least one undrafted free agent make the 53-man roster. And if you were to think this was true, you would be right. The Packers have had an undrafted free agent make the roster for 19 years straight, dating all the way back to 2005. Last year, it was Malik Heath who stepped onto the scene as a viable wide receiver option, as well as Brenton Cox Jr., a rotational edge player. And over the years includes the likes of Tramon Williams, Sam Shields, Al Lazard, all of which who contributed heavily to the Green Bay Packers. There's a reason why undrafted free agents choose to sign to the Packers over some other teams, because their odds of making the team are much higher on the Packers than they are on other teams. And this year is no different. There are a couple of undrafted free agents on this roster right now that I see making the 53-man roster, and the one that I see most likely making the 53-man roster is offensive lineman Donovan Jennings from the University of Southern Florida. Now, the Packers also have Peter Bowden, a long snapper from Wisconsin, who I think can also make the roster, which the Packers a lot of the time have multiple undrafted free agents make the roster. But Donovan Jennings shows the most potential out of all of these undrafted free agents. So in today's video, I want to go over Donovan Jennings, kind of break him down and what he could project to for the Green Bay Packers. But before we do so, I want to give a shout out to today's video sponsor, Sleeper. And right now on Sleeper, new users can get a first-time deposit match up to $100 using the code BASS with the link down in the description. Sleeper is a daily fantasy sports app where you choose higher or lower on any given stat across a multitude of sports. Pick between 2 to 8 players, choose higher or lower on each one. For example, in the NBA, stats including points, rebounds, assists, even double-doubles. Then once choosing between 2 to 8 players, you could win up to 100x payouts. Sleeper is also very safe and easy to use. Your picks can be made within 30 seconds. So guys, take advantage of the offer going on right now to get a deposit match up to $100 on Sleeper with code BASS. The link is down in the description. Supporting the sponsor is supporting the channel. So again, I appreciate Sleeper for sponsoring this video. All right, so now back to Donovan Jennings, who I see at this point 100% making the 53-man roster. And let me tell you why. Firstly, Donovan Jennings was the first undrafted free agent the Packers have signed, and they gave the most signing bonus to, a $10,000 signing bonus, including a $100,000 guaranteed salary. This usually happens when other teams are very interested in undrafted free agents, but don't want to give up signing bonuses, don't want to give up guaranteed salary, so the Packers offered it to him, and clearly Donovan Jennings took that offer because 1, it's guaranteed money, and 2, he has a high chance of making the Packers as an undrafted free agent. The Packers also met with Donovan Jennings with a top 30 visit before the draft, and he was one of the players I had mocked to the Green Bay Packers in my final mock draft in the 7th round. So it just made sense. I saw the fit with the Green Bay Packers with Donovan Jennings, and clearly they did too, and they didn't even have to spend a draft pick on him. But I wouldn't be shocked at all, say, if in the 7th round of the draft, instead of Michael Pratt or Kalen King, one of those picks was Donovan Jennings. It would have not shocked me at all. And when you take a look at his RAS profile, his relative athletic score, which we look at all of the prospects, and a lot of them tend to be athletes, especially on the offensive line, and that is no different for Donovan Jennings out of South Florida. As an offensive guard, he has a 9.65 RAS. He's 6'4", 323 pounds. He had 28 bench reps. He has elite speed with a great 40-yard dash, 20-yard split, 10-yard split. Also great agility. We see that 3-cone of a 7.6. The Packers love their 3-cone drill for their offensive linemen. So you see Donovan Jennings with a nice time there as well. Now, Donovan Jennings only played left tackle at Southern Florida over his 6-year career. Yes, 6-year career, where he totaled over 3,000 snaps. Donovan Jennings will already be 25 years old by year's end, and this guy is definitely pro ready. Bringing up his career stats here, we see the 6 years at USF and has always had an above average PFF grade. As we see here, his last season was his best grade overall of a 71.6, including a very impressive 80.6 pass block grade. But we see over the years, 2022, a little bit of an outlier, but he was injured in 2022. an excellent pass blocker. 82.6 in 2021, a 79.5 in 2020, a 74.8 in 2019, and a 69.8 in 2018. And if we go over to his pressures allowed, his sacks allowed, last season he only allowed 2 sacks, but he did allow 18 pressures, so a pass blocking efficiency of 97.5. Did have a little bit of a penalty issue with 6 penalties there. But over his 6-year career at USF, he's only allowed 8 sacks at left tackle and 69 total pressures, and that's in over 3,000 snaps at left tackle. We see he played a tiny bit of guard in 2019, right guard here, but as you see, the snap counts, mainly left tackle over his career. But Donovan Jennings definitely translates to a guard at the NFL level, although he does have 33-inch arms, which does fit the threshold for tackle for the Green Bay Packers. He is definitely going to be a guard for the Packers, and he's already been lining up there throughout OTA as left guard number 2. He's been lining up with the second team offensive line, which is very impressive for a first-year undrafted free agent. But that's not saying Donovan Jennings couldn't play tackle in a pinch. He has adequate foot quickness to remain outside. He has great athleticism, agility, balance, and even straight line speed. Jennings is also excellent at consistently landing blocks at the second level where he finishes strong, and this is why I see him as a guard at the NFL level. Donovan Jennings definitely has a mean streak, has violent, heavy hands, along with a strong initial punch. He'd be the type of lineman that on a screen pass, you'd see him 10 to 20 yards down the field, still making blocks for the running back. And at the same time, keeping up the pace because he's in the 95th percentile for all offensive linemen in this draft class in terms of speed. He would be a defensive back's worst nightmare at the second level. Now, I believe Donovan Jennings overall has a great chance to make the Packers 53-man roster because when you look at the offensive line right now, although they have a lot of players with versatility, such as Jordan Morgan, who they spent their first-round draft selection on, when you look at guard right now, outside of Donovan Jennings, the 3 players on the roster are Elgton Jenkins, who will start at left guard, Sean Rhyan, and Royce Newman. Now, Sean Rhyan has been playing with the first-team offensive line at right guard, but that's also in the absence of Zach Tom, who normally plays right tackle, so he's gone, so then Jordan Morgan's filling in there. Who knows when Zach Tom comes back if Jordan Morgan will slide right into right guard and play with the first team over Sean Rhyan. And Royce Newman, I see as an easy cut for the Green Bay Packers. They can save $3.1 million right now by cutting Royce Newman. And Donovan Jennings has been getting snaps over him with the second team. And this is a guy that's an undrafted free agent. So for me, it's almost a guarantee that Royce Newman gets cut. And that's an easy swap for me for Donovan Jennings to make the roster and Royce Newman to be cut. Now, like I said, the Packers also have players with versatility. Jordan Morgan could definitely begin at guard for the Green Bay Packers. And I'm not saying Donovan Jennings is going to get starting snaps year 1. But I think it's almost a guarantee that at some point in his Packers career, because I definitely see him making the roster, he's going to get some snaps on that offensive line. As I said earlier, this guy's very pro-ready. He's turning 25 in November, over 3,000 snaps at USF. And that was kind of the reoccurring theme with the Packers drafting offensive linemen or signing undrafted free agent offensive linemen this season. All of the guys they added into this building have a ton of experience. So I'm still very interested to see how the first team offensive line shapes up through training camp. There's only so many guarantees right now. Elgton Jenkins and Zach Tom, in my opinion, are the only guarantees, and we still don't know where Zach Tom's going to play. It's probably going to be at right tackle, but there is still that chance that they could slide him into center and then just play him over Josh Meyer. But outside of that, there's no guarantees. Like, it's still a camp battle, and Rasheed Walker has to earn the job at left tackle. Right guard is wide open, and then if Zach Tom moves into center, right tackle is wide open as well. So you can't also completely write off Donovan Jennings for potentially winning a starting job. And I know that's crazy to say, but this is the Green Bay Packers. This is where undrafted free agents go and carve out a role early. We saw Malik Heath get some starting snaps last season as the 6th wide receiver in an undrafted free agent. Going into last season, the start of the season, A lot of people would say, oh, no way Malik Heath ends up getting snaps, and yet he did. So there could very well be a situation where some injuries happen, or Zach Tom's at center, Jordan Morgan's at right tackle, Rasheed Walker's at left tackle, and they have a glaring hole at right guard, and Donovan Jennings could potentially plug right into that. Overall, I'm very intrigued by Donovan Jennings, and I 100% believe he's making this 53-man roster. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you like Donovan Jennings as your favorite to make the roster as undrafted free agent? If not, and if you have someone else in mind, let me know in the comments below. I do appreciate you guys coming by to the video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like down below. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.